Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my WWE Payback 2014 review. Payback this year is the second Payback pay-per-view WWE has ever done, and in my opinion this year's Payback was one of the worst pay-per-views I have seen in a very long time. I've just come off watching Payback live. I've looked at a lot of people's opinions on tonight's show on Twitter, and I'm seeing a lot of people rating it 8 out of 10 and a lot of people saying it was a solid show. Really? Did you think that was a good show? Did you enjoy Payback this year? Was it better than last year's Payback? No way in hell. I'm hugely disappointed in this year's Payback pay-per-view. But what I want you guys to do is get down there in the comment section and comment on what you thought of the Payback pay-per-view, which has just ended. It's currently 4 AM in the UK, and in this video I'm going to review and give you my full thoughts and analysis on the whole full show of WWE Payback 2014. I'm going to try and stay positive and happy about the pay-per-view, but it's very hard when I'm coming off a pay-per-view which I'm hugely disappointed about. I really was not a fan of this pay-per-view, but I can't just say that and just leave the video. As always, in every single review I do for a pay-per-view or even a Monday Night Raw, I break down the whole show. So in this video, we're going to be going through every single match. I'm going to say what I liked about that match and what I didn't like about that match. I'm going to talk about the results, any awesome spots during the match, what the crowd reaction was, what we can do from the result, what we can do from what the match delivered, what we can go from it. So what's for the future after that match, and we're just gonna break down the whole freaking show right on this video. So can we get 200 likes on this video, my Payback review? And if I do get 200 likes later on today, I will get around to doing a Monday Night Raw preview, and that means I'll predict everything I think will happen on Monday Night Raw this week, and it'll pretty much be the Fallout show for tonight's Payback event. So look forward to that preview if we get 200 likes on this video. But enough of that. We've got it. We're gonna get 200 likes. I know it. We can do it. But of course, do subscribe to my channel for previews, predictions, reviews, everything like that on WWE. Pretty much, if you are a WWE fan, just subscribe. You're gonna like something on my channel. So do that. Subscribe. Get us 200 likes. Comment your thoughts on the show. What was your favourite match? What was your least favourite match? And rate Payback. Give it a rating out of 10. Do all that. And of course, enjoy the video, because we're going to review Payback right now, right here. It's going to be great. And of course, well, as always, we're going to start reviewing the first match on the card, which was in fact the kickoff show match between El Torito and Hornswoggle. Yes, we did in fact get a bit of Payback. Well, not really. It was a rematch from Extreme Rules the month before. So, yes, WWE did have some success at the Extreme Rules 2014 pay-per-view. I honestly think the Extreme Rules pay-per-view was one of the best pay-per-views we have seen since SummerSlam 2013. I really think they did a fantastic job last month for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. It was a very good pay-per-view, and congratulations to them. They finally found, or well, they entertained us with a great kickoff show match at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view last month. It was El Torito versus Hornswoggle in a WLC match. Now, at the time, not a lot of people were really bothered about that match. They weren't really going to check in, and they weren't really going to watch the kickoff show. They just couldn't be asked to watch a midget match on a kickoff show. So a lot of people did actually miss the match at Extreme Rules, but they should have kicked themselves, because the Extreme Rules match was amazing. The kickoff show at Extreme Rules between El Torito and Hornswoggle was freaking insane. We saw everything and the rest in a no disqualification TLC match last month on the kickoff show. It was fantastic. It stole the show. It was probably the second best match on the card besides Evolution and The Shield, and it really was an amazing match. So WWE decided to rebook this match on the Payback show. Now, it really didn't fit with the name because nobody really got Payback here, because in the first match the babyface El Torito won anyway, so the good guy won. There wasn't really anything in the feud in the first place, so it really didn't fit the theme of Payback, but the fact that it was such a good match at Extreme Rules, it was okay. We're fine with that. We want to sit through another good match, and yeah, they had success at the kickoff show last month at Extreme Rules, so why not just do the same match again, just change the stipulation a little bit? People are bound to like it. It's bound to be a good match again, so why not just redo the match the month after? And that's pretty much what we got here. We got a rematch from the Payback, from the pay-per-view last month, and that match was good, so they did it again. What's wrong with that? Do it again. People are bound to like it. We can't really go wrong, and I agree, they did do another great job on the Payback pay-per-view kickoff show. Now, last year's kickoff show was Sandow versus Sheamus, and now it's kind of gone downhill a bit that we're getting El Torito versus Hornswoggle, but what another fantastic match they have put on. Now, to be honest, you could say that any other city WWE was in for this pay-per-view, they would have had to put on an entertaining kickoff show, because since the card was so slim for Payback 2014, it really needed to get off to a good start. It really needed an entertaining match to get the crowd into it, or it would have just fell flat on its face. If you didn't have an exciting match for the kickoff show, the crowd really wouldn't have been into the whole show from the get-go. But it was Chicago, so honestly, they really didn't need to have a match which really got the crowd going, because the crowd in Chicago is always going to be going. They didn't really need an exciting match which was going to get the crowd really, really loud, but it still delivered anyway. Now, what I'm saying here is they could have stuck Zack Ryder versus Rusev on the kickoff show, and the crowd will still have been loud. I mean, the kickoff show in Chicago, its job really wasn't to get the crowd going. I mean, they already would have been loud. So, El Torito versus Hornswoggle was absolutely fine. It was a fantastic match once again. The problem here was they probably were never going to top the match at Extreme Rules, because that match was fantastic. It was so good, and like they did with the Wyatts in the Shield after Elimination Chamber, they did that match 1 or 2 times after, but it was never the same as the first time. The first time is always the best time, so they were always never going to get it as good as the match at Extreme Rules, but they tried their best. Yes, the stipulation wasn't as good. Could they have just done WLC the second match? Maybe, but it would have felt a bit too similar. Considering the card was a lot similar to the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, maybe they couldn't have done a second WLC match here, but maybe that would have been a better option, maybe to have had a little bit more of a better match, but they were never topping the first match, because I think that the thing that was so good about the first match was that it was a surprise. We never thought it would be that good, so it was going to be impossible to top the first match, and they were never going to do it. Yes, the stipulation wasn't as good this time, so you were never going to get a match as good as the one at Extreme Rules, but it did still deliver as a good match. And this match would maybe have been the 3rd best match on the card, maybe 3rd or 4th best match. If you're taking into consideration Cesaro in the Sheamus match, I probably would put it as 4th, maybe scrape 3rd, I'm not sure, but 4th or 3rd, the best match on the card. Certainly very, very high for entertainment. This match did rank quite high in my opinion, and I really liked this match. It was quite funny. I mean, El Torito kept getting, well, he went for the pin on Hornswoggle. I'll just go through a few of the few good spots. Now, El Torito tried to pin Hornswoggle a few times, and every time Hornswoggle kicked out, he basically threw El Torito in the referee, and El Torito kept getting dumped back on Hornswoggle by the referee, which was absolutely hilarious. We saw Hornswoggle do a suicide dive. He failed doing it the first time. He fell into the ropes, and then did it a second time. We then saw El Torito make Hornswoggle dizzy, and Hornswoggle tried to jump on El Torito and missed. That was funny. We saw Drew McIntyre go over the top rope, do a 360 flip onto everybody in the match, onto 3MB, onto Los Matadores. Oh my god, this match was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the Extreme Rules match, but I'll probably go back and watch this match again because it still was a very, very good match. Now, how it ended was Hornswoggle went for a cool sit-down powerbomb, which looked great, no problem there. And then Hornswoggle took the mask off El Torito, but El Torito had a second mask, so Hornswoggle stupidly looked away. He was basically like clapping to himself because he'd taken the mask off, and stupidly he was unaware that El Torito had got up, and then El Torito basically jumped on the second rope and then the top rope and did a 360 spin onto Hornswoggle, and that took Hornswoggle down 1, 2, 3, and El Torito, the baby face, wins. Now we have seen this spot a few times when somebody's mask gets taken off and then they have a second mask underneath. So nothing really that not really an original spot to end the match, but the sit out powerbomb by Hornswoggle was great. That looked very, very good, but the fact that he took the mask off to reveal the second mask, we've seen that many, many times before. So not really an original spot, but still did keep the storyline quite nicely. But once Hornswoggle was distracted, once he'd taken the mask off, that didn't really seem that legit. I mean, I know it's Hornswoggle and he got distracted, but really would you be that distracted and that unaware that El Torito had stood up? I mean, I know it's WWE and we're supposed to pretend that stuff like that happens, but El Torito got up, and it seemed like Hornswoggle was distracted by the mask for, what, 30 seconds? I mean, he was distracted for a hell of a lot of time, and he didn't realise El Torito had stood up. I mean, I know it's WWE, and things like that we're supposed to forget, but at least make it kind of believable, because Hornswoggle turned his back for, like, 30 seconds during a match. Like, I know it's Hornswoggle and that's kind of his gimmick, but really, it did seem like it went on for a hell of a long time. And the one thing, the main complaint I do have about this match was, as soon as El Torito hit the move, where he jumped on the second rope, then the top rope, and then spun onto Hornswoggle, I was like, oh, it's going to be a close 2 count. But no, he pinned Hornswoggle for the 3rd count. Now, what? This guy is a former cruiserweight champion. Yeah, I know that's not really something like that major, but I mean, you pin Hornswoggle by doing basically a cross body. I mean, are we supposed to believe that that's actually going to hurt somebody, especially Hornswoggle? I mean, that's basically like a little baby jumping on another baby. Are they really going to be out for a 3 count? I mean, he basically did a cross body. I mean, how many times in one match do you see Rey Mysterio hit a cross body? I mean, really, would that put him out for a 3 count? I was like, what? I mean, I was really not satisfied with the ending there. I was like, what? Would you really get pinned for a 3 count from a cross body? I mean, the match was entertaining, it was funny, it was very, very good, it was entertaining. You're going to have to go back and watch it because there were so many great spots during this match. Not as many good spots as the Extreme Rules match, but like I said before, it was still a very, very good match with some good spots in. But I'm left with this sour taste in my mouth from just a meh ending. I mean, a cross body for a 3 count, really? I mean, wow. I mean, they even did it on Monday Night Raw. I think Drew McIntyre hit the second turnbuckle and then El Torito pinned him for the 3 count. I mean, does El Torito have some like special power where he can keep somebody down for a 3 count? I mean, what are they doing with this guy? I mean, they haven't really debuted a finisher for him or anything like that, and he's winning with a cross body and hitting Drew McIntyre with the second turnbuckle and picking up wins. I mean, 1, give this guy a proper finisher, and 2, actually, you know, if Hornswoggle's going to get beat, I mean, actually give him a devastating move. But nonetheless, the match was entertaining. You're going to have to go back and watch it because there was too many things to think about or talk about in this match. It was very, very good. I really, really liked it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Not as good. It didn't top the match at Extreme Rules, but still a good match. I've said that many times, but it still was a good match. It's going to get overshadowed by the Extreme Rules match, but it still was a good match. But a crossbody? Really? A crossbody? Really? Anyway, 7 out of 10 for that match. A good way to start the show. A lot of people really did like this match, and I did like it as well. Good way to start the kickoff show. But one thing I'll just get it quickly out the way was, on the kickoff show panel, they said that this feud had really got personal. I mean, how fake do you want to make it? How the hell is this feud personal? The only thing Hornswoggle did was take off El Torito's tail. I mean, that's like the least personal thing you can do. Take off somebody's fake tail. Now, it was funny that El Torito came out with a small tail and they said it was growing back. But he did come out for a bit of cheap heat with the Chicago Bulls attire. Instead of the normal bull, he came out as the Chicago Bulls, which I thought was quite funny. It was a bit of a cheap heat for El Torito, and it was cool they had the small tail, but really, to call it very personal? No. They only brought this feud back last week because they realised they didn't have a kickoff show match to book. So if you notice, they really didn't bother with 3MB and Los Matadores until Monday Night Raw last week because they realised they didn't have a match to put on the kickoff show. I mean, that's not personal. I mean, how fake do you want to make the kickoff show panel? It's personal. No fucking way. That was not personal. But it was a good match, and I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So, the first match on the actual pay-per-view was Sheamus against Cesaro. Now, one thing I want to point out before we get on to the match was there was no pyro to start off Payback. I'm not sure if they forgot, or well, I don't know. Did they forget, or I don't know. The only thing I can think of is they forgot to add pyro to the show. Was there a reason behind not adding pyro? I don't really remember anybody in the show having pyro. Did Rob Van Dam have pyro? Did Wade Barrett have pyro? I honestly don't remember. The only time I remember there being pyro was when John Cena got tossed into the pyro bit where they have all like the switchboards and stuff and pyro actually going off. Apart from that, I don't remember pyro, but there certainly wasn't any pyro to actually start the pay-per-view like normal, which might get discussed later. I'd like to know why they didn't do that. Does anybody know why they didn't do that? Because I have no idea whatsoever. I always look forward to the pyro. I think it's really like a special way to kick off the show and really proves to you that it is a pay-per-view. It's a special event. I know it's only pyro, but it's something you get on a pay-per-view, something special you get on a pay-per-view, which you really don't get on a lot of Raws or SmackDowns or main events. Once in a while they will use pyro, but they always use pyro on a pay-per-view, and we just didn't get that Payback, and I'm not really sure why. But the first match was a United States Championship match between Cesaro against Sheamus. Now, I was never really bought on this match. I was never really sold on this match whatsoever. I mean, I was never really interested in this feud whatsoever. I mean, I never really thought they had a good match in the first place 2 weeks ago on Raw. So ever since then, I really haven't been sold on this feud whatsoever. I knew it was probably going to be a good match, but I never thought it was going to be amazing. I was never really into the feud anyway, so I just wanted to sit down and see what they could do, but I was never really hooked on the storyline. I mean, there really wasn't a storyline. I mean, it was just the same old Paul Heyman distracting Sheamus and Cesaro getting the win on a Monday Night Raw. And from that, Cesaro pretty much got a United States Championship match. I mean, apart from that, there really wasn't any bite to the feud or anything really intriguing. They really never really got on the mic. I mean, Sheamus didn't get on the mic whatsoever during this feud. So there really wasn't any bite or anything to this. There's no real spark. I mean, there was like one bro kick to Cesaro once. I mean, there really wasn't anything to get you into this feud whatsoever. Now, to be fair, they have started to build up the mid-card championships a lot better than they have built in the last few years. Now, there was some decent build towards this match, but nothing really that intriguing. I mean, they only really started to build it in these last few weeks. I mean, Sheamus got beat by Cesaro 2 weeks ago on Raw. Cesaro attacked Sheamus multiple times. I mean, Sheamus's bro kicked Cesaro. Cesaro is not handshaking Sheamus, and then Sheamus's hand shook Cesaro on, like, later on in the night on Raw last week. But apart from that, there really wasn't anything special in this feud. I mean, there was, like, little attacks here or there, but nothing really great. Nothing, not a great feud whatsoever. It was, I don't really know. I wouldn't really call it a feud. I mean, I don't think their first match was very good, so I was never really hooked from the start. So I kind of think this might have been a good match. I wasn't really sure, but it was a very, very good match. It was a very, very physical match. There was a lot of very good pacing towards this match. I mean, if you blinked, you would have missed a lot. But the one spot which really does stick in my mind is where Sheamus went for the battering ram and Cesaro hit that European uppercut. That was a nasty European uppercut. I really, really like that spot by Cesaro, and that's the one thing which sticks in the back of my mind when I think back of that match a few hours ago. A very, very good spot by Cesaro, and I really, really like that move. Now, Cesaro hit the swing. The swing is as over as it has ever been. And also, before the match, Paul Heyman cut a promo. And by God, does that guy know how to get some heat. He really does know how to get some heat. I mean, he can get heat out of anything. I mean, the crowd were chanting CM Punk, CM Punk, when Paul Heyman said that when he was welcoming his new Paul Heyman guy. And then Paul Heyman said that CM Punk was down at the Chicago Bulls hockey match down the road, and he can get heat from anything, because the Chicago crowd cheered Heyman when he came out and they booed him when he walked out after Cesaro's match. He knows how to get heat. He is absolutely brilliant at it. If there's anybody that can get heat in a building with nobody in the building, it's Paul Heyman. If you had a room with nobody, Paul Heyman will still be able to get some boos somehow. He is just that brilliant at it. I mean, the Chicago crowd love Paul Heyman, but they still booed him after that short promo before Cesaro's match. But damn, Paul Heyman really needs to stop going on about Brock Lesnar. He needs to stop going on about CM Punk and start building Cesaro up, because Cesaro gets overshadowed with these Brock Lesnar promos by Paul Heyman. Just concentrate on Cesaro, because he is the next big thing, or so I thought he would be, until the really, really disappointing end towards this match. Now, it did look like Cesaro was just about to hit the neutralizer after he hit the Cesaro swing, and at this point, the match was fantastic. It was a very, very good match, and in my honest opinion, comes very, very close to being the second best match of the night. Maybe I'm being a bit lenient there, but it was a very, very good match. Just as soon as he's about to hit the neutralizer, Sheamus gets the small package. And Sheamus wins the match. Sheamus retains his United States Championship. Yes, the guy that we really didn't want to win the United States Champion in the first place successfully retains his championship in the first pay-per-view he is defending it. Yes, I understand it's the first pay-per-view he is defending it, but come on, WWE. Cesaro was way more impressive during this match. He was way more over during this match. He's the way more interesting character out the two. Sheamus is well overdue a heel turn. Cesaro is the new Paul Heyman guy. He was one of the guys they were bound to push after WrestleMania. WWE even announced they were going to push Cesaro heavily after WrestleMania. Of course, he's been picked up by Paul Heyman. They're putting a lot of momentum behind this guy. He's extremely over. He's impressive. He's clearly the next big thing in the WWE. He's the future. But they still give the win to Cesaro. Sorry, to Sheamus. And Sheamus really didn't do anything too impressive during this match. He hit his old same moves. His same old shitty moves. I mean, he has like 5 freaking finishes, but every time Cesaro kicked out of them. I mean, I didn't see anything, in my opinion, that was impressive by Sheamus. I mean, it was pretty much a same old Sheamus moveset. I mean, the match was impressive, but the only offense I saw from Sheamus was everything we've seen before. Yeah, he's still your United States champion. He really wasn't special or impressive during this match at all. It really was all about Cesaro, which I'm happy I saw. I'm happy I saw a good light in Cesaro. And it was a good match. I mean, it was a good way to show what Cesaro can do against a former world champion Sheamus. So the match itself was very, very good. A very entertaining match, except the result, because the only thing I'm going to remember at the end of the night is the result. And Cesaro didn't get the W in this match, which I honestly think is a huge loss. I mean, Cesaro was extremely over after WrestleMania weekend, but ever since then, he's started to go downhill. A lot less people are interested in Cesaro, and they're going to be less interested in Cesaro after this loss against Sheamus at Payback. I mean, yes, I know it was a small package and it wasn't really a clean win. It does leave the door open for maybe a rematch down the line, but it wasn't really a clean win by Sheamus, but still it was a win by Sheamus and a loss for Cesaro. Cesaro was a lot better than Sheamus during this match, and I just can't understand why WWE wants to keep the title on Sheamus. Nobody really cared. He got no reaction when he came out, and he really got no reaction when he left either. I mean, Sheamus might as well not even have the United States Championship. It really doesn't belong on him. What is he doing with it? He's not doing anything with it. He's not doing anything spectacular before or after since he picked up that title. I mean, what is he doing? I mean, it's the United States Champion has been wasting on Sheamus. I mean, nobody wants to see Sheamus at this point. He's well overdue a heel turn, and I think it was the point to give the title to Cesaro. I mean, he's got Paul Heyman on his side. It would have been an opportunity to bring prestige back to that belt, especially when you've got a big star like Paul Heyman behind him. It would have given some great momentum to Cesaro. A title, of course, would have given him a huge push, and obviously it's something for Cesaro to brag about. Paul Heyman brags about the streak being broken, and it would have just added more depth to Paul Heyman and Cesaro's alliance if he could have told the story about Cesaro winning the United States Championship. But once again, WWE drops the ball and gives the win to Sheamus. I mean, who cares about Sheamus at this point? But the match itself was entertaining, but is always going to get overshadowed by that extremely disappointing result where Cesaro was extremely over in Chicago, but they gave to win to the guy who got booed out the building, even though he's the babyface Sheamus. So I'll give that match a 7 out of 10. Entertaining match, a good wrestling match, but Sheamus winning with a small package, meh. Would have much rather preferred Cesaro to be the United States Champion. I thought that was the only opportunity we probably would have got of a title change on tonight's show, and it just didn't deliver. So, the next match was a rematch from Main Event, which they failed to mention. Ryback and Axel defeated Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Now, they didn't mention that this match was happening on Main Event, and as soon as I heard that, well, I thought Goldust and Cody Rhodes were winning this match. I thought if they didn't mention it on Main Event, maybe they were going to switch the result, because on Main Event, Cody Rhodes and Goldust lost. So I thought the fact that they didn't mention that match was because they want Cody Rhodes and Goldust to win here. But this just proves how irrelevant Main Event really is for them not even to mention this happened on Main Event, as well as booking it on the pay-per-view. But this match itself really came out of nothing. It was pretty much a WWE.com exclusive, kind of not even a brawl, just a backstage, like, what, punch or shove by Ryback and Axel on Goldust and Cody Rhodes. And that's enough to warrant a match at a Payback pay-per-view and in front of a really rowdy Chicago crowd. Not really. I mean, it was a feud out of nothing, a huge disappointing crowd for the start off, and that just added to the even more disappointing card. I mean, it was a disappointing card before the start of the show, and then to throw on this match, well, to be honest, the match did deliver. The match itself was pretty good. It was a little bit better than a Monday Night Raw match you would probably see on an average Monday Night Raw. But once again, the feud was created out of nothing, and it was simply a throwaway match which you're really not going to remember whatsoever. The only real reason why they did create this match on the pay-per-view or book this match on the pay-per-view was for the angle they played off after the match. But actually talking about the match itself was an okay match. It really did have pretty cool finish at the end. It was a nice little clean match which really had no problems from me whatsoever. Solid match. I mean, it wasn't too emphatic or entertaining or exciting, but it was a solid match. There was nothing bad about this match. It just wasn't a pay-per-view match. That was my problem here. But I really do think that they did show Ryback looking very, very strong and good in this match. And it's kind of strange to think that Ryback was main eventing this pay-per-view last year in a 3 stages of hell WWE Championship match against John Cena. Yet in this pay-per-view a year later, everything's just gone downhill for Ryback. I mean, what, he's in a match against Ryback, he's in a match against the Goldust and Cody Rhodes in a match which was announced on the last minute, and not really a very well built match. I mean, it's complete change for Ryback in a year in this match compared to a WWE Championship match against Cena last year. Wow, but they did actually show Ryback in a good light here. I thought he did very, very well. Now, there's only real two main spots during this match. Was the first time Cody Rhodes went for a disaster kick was reversed by Ryback, and that pretty much went for a slam onto the mat. And then when Ryback, when Ryback was about to get hit from a disaster kick by Cody Rhodes again for the second time, I thought he was bound to win the match. But no, that didn't happen either, because Ryback countered it again, which I thought was quite surprising, and then he kept him on his shoulders and hit him with the shell shock and picked up the win, pinning Cody Rhodes. So he did in fact pin the younger guy of Cody Rhodes. If I was going to pick somebody to get pinned here, it would have been Goldust, because he's the older guy, and obviously Cody Rhodes has got a lot left in the tank years-wise, so I would have said that Goldust would have been the one to take the loss here, but it was in fact Cody Rhodes. And the only reason why they booked this match was for the angle after, and they wanted to do it on a pay-per-view. I mean, if they would have done this angle on a Raw or SmackDown, it maybe not have got the same reception or audience as it would have got if they'd done it tonight, which they did. So that's maybe why they did it on the pay-per-view. And also, Cody Rhodes, who's really struggled for a reaction recently, doing it in front of the Chicago crowd does get a much better reaction. I mean, this guy's really not done a lot for the past few months, and neither is Goldust. So doing it in front of a a pay-per-view audience is a much wider audience for Cody Rhodes to do this. I mean, if you would have done it on a SmackDown, I mean, really, who would have cared? Well, on Payback in front of Chicago, a lot more people are going to remember this angle after the match. And pretty much Cody Rhodes said that, well, to Goldust, he got on the mic. I thought maybe Cody Rhodes is going to punch Goldust, and it would have just been a traditional generic, boring heel turn from Cody Rhodes. But no, what I didn't expect to happen was that Cody Rhodes got on the mic and said, Goldust, you need to find a new tag team partner, and pretty much walked out, and then Goldust walked out shortly after. So I thought he was just gonna heel turn, punch Goldust, and just be something like a boring heel turn that we'll forget in a few weeks. But it looks like they're gonna do a slow burn here. It looks like they're gonna do something over the next few weeks, and it's not gonna be your boring heel turn by Cody Rhodes. It's gonna be something that's gonna get worked over the next few weeks, which is something new. I don't want to just see Cody Rhodes turn on Goldust. I mean, how many times have we seen that? We saw that with Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, and look where they are. They haven't even been booked in the last few months. So maybe if they do a slow heel turn by Cody Rhodes, or just do a slow breakup between Goldust and Cody Rhodes, it will be a different idea than the traditional breakups of tag teams we've seen in recent years. But I didn't expect this, so this was a cool moment on the pay-per-view. But the match itself, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. To be honest, it wasn't built whatsoever, and really didn't have that pay-per-view feel whatsoever. But it was a solid match, and there really wasn't any problem with it. It just really wasn't something that deserved to be on the pay-per-view, but it was an okay match, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. The angle after the match really leaves it open for Monday Night Raw, and I'm excited to see what they do for the team of Goldust and Cody Rhodes, because they really were on fire in 2013. So I'm excited to see what will happen between Goldust and Cody Rhodes and how they will finally break down. I'm sure I'll tune into Raw to watch that, and it really leaves it up in the air. So I'm excited to see what they do with this. But they only really booked that match so they could play off the angle between Goldust and Cody Rhodes. But maybe I have a problem with them doing that on the pay-per-view, because a lot of people do pay to watch the wrestling. They pay to watch wrestling. They don't pay to see a promo. They don't pay to see a segment. But maybe it just brings that a little bit more importance to what Cody Rhodes said instead of doing it on a Raw. We'll see how it plays out in the future, but that's pretty much only reason why they booked that match. Did you expect Cody Rhodes to be on the pay-per-view? Maybe not, so if you're a Cody fan, you might have been happy with this. So the next match was Rusev against Big E. I really won't spend a lot of time on reviewing this, because honestly, are you really going to remember all these squash matches Rusev is doing at the moment in years to come? Not really. I mean, they did exactly the same with Ryback, and what is he doing now? Yep, he was on the match before facing Goldust and Cody Rhodes instead of being in the WWE Championship match against John Cena like he was last year. Jobber matches and squash matches really don't do anything whatsoever. Do you really remember them matches? You don't. I mean, they do them with so many stars, and they really don't really make an impact whatsoever. It's just by the time they have a normal match, people have already got bored with the gimmick. I was already bored with Rusev in his second match on a Friday Night SmackDown. I mean, his Monday Night Raw match on the Raw after WrestleMania was okay because it was new. I wanted to see what Rusev could do. But the Friday Night SmackDown match he had after that Monday Night Raw, I was already sick of these squash matches. And 2 months later, they're still doing these squash matches. But to be fair, this match was a little bit longer than the normal squash match Rusev does, and it was actually an okay match between Big E and Rusev. I mean, we saw the usual Big E pay-per-view spot he seems to do on every pay-per-view match he has. I mean, he really doesn't have a lot of moves in his locker, but that one move he always does on a pay-per-view is that spear out onto the outside. But Big E hit that, and honestly, the match was okay. It was a pretty good match. I mean, it wasn't the best match of the night, but it was an okay match. It was a longer squash match compared to what we usually see from Big E, which is always okay. I mean, how long was his match against Zack Ryder on Raw? Like 10 seconds. So it was slightly longer, which is good. I mean, maybe they'll start making them a little bit longer over time, which they hopefully do. I mean, how many more entrances and promos do I want to see from Lana? I mean, it seems like we spend more time with the promos and entrances than the actual match time. But this match was longer, which is good. And it was an okay match, but Big E once again taps out to the Accolade, and ever since he lost the title, what's happened to Big E? Honestly, I never really saw anything in him in the first place, but it's quite a shame that he was the one booked here, because honestly, he would have benefited from a win on this pay-per-view, so why book him against Rusev? I mean, Big E lost at the pay-per-view last month, so was it a really good idea to book him against Rusev in a squash match? Could you have just booked Big E against somebody like a Rob Van Dam or somebody to put Big E over and make him recover from that loss for the Intercontinental Championship last month? Did you have to book him against Rusev? Is your roster that, well, not that, well, is your roster that lackluster that you can't find somebody else to face Rusev? Maybe, but I mean, Big E really would have benefited from a win against somebody else on this pay-per-view, but sadly he had to squash out to Rusev, and I'm really considering what's going to happen to Big E after losing the title against Bad News Barrett at the pay-per-view before, and now squashing to Rusev, who's only just come up from NXT. Quite a big shame for Big E, but the match itself was okay. I mean, I wasn't really into it because it was only announced on Friday Night SmackDown this week, which I didn't even watch, so I hate it when they do that on Friday Night SmackDown, because barely anybody watches SmackDown, so why announce a match on Friday Night SmackDown? But the match itself was okay, and Big E taps out to the Accolade, but once again, I wish they'd wait a little bit, like 10 seconds maybe, until they tap out to the Accolade. I mean, they seemed to tap out straight away when they got locked up in that Accolade. But I'll give that match a set. Oh, I can't give it another 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'm not a huge fan of booking Big E against Rusev in a squash match. I mean, this guy's a little bit better than that, surely. But they really need to get away from these squash matches with Rusev. I mean, they don't do anything for anybody whatsoever. Nobody's going to remember these squash matches. They don't do anything. We're already bored of Rusev already. Lana's more over than Rusev. I mean, they made him come out with the Russian flag, which is all cool and that. And they made Big E come out with the USA flag. And he was wearing the Chicago colors and everything. They're trying so hard to put Big E over after losing the title. But yet they book him against Rusev in this match where he was obviously going to lose. And also, this match was so bloody predictable that I was just not into this match whatsoever. But it was an okay Rusev match, so I will give it a 7 out of 10. The next match was Kofi Kingston against Bo Dallas in an impromptu match, which was announced on the kickoff show. I mean, for one, I remember thinking at the time, why have they got Kofi on the kickoff show? They could do so much better with this guy. I mean, even he could have been jobbing against Rusev. And I was like, at the time, why have they got him on the kickoff show? At least put him on the actual pay-per-view. But then they actually booked him against Bo Dallas on the pay-per-view. So I was like, yay! Kofi Kingston's on the pay-per-view. But then I realized, oh, he's just going to be jobbing out to Bo Dallas. But Kofi Kingston actually got the win against Bo Dallas. So Bo Dallas, in his first pay-per-view match, loses because Kane came out as soon as the bell rang and attacked Kofi Kingston, chokeslammed him, and tombstone piledrived him. Now, Kofi did actually bring out a tweet complaining about the situation with Daniel Bryan and Stephanie McMahon, and Kane attacked him. So that still builds the storyline as if the Authority are controlling Kane's every movement. And I do honestly think this segment and match really achieved a lot, because it still builds into the fact that Kane is being controlled by the Authority, which is also good. But then after the match, Bo Dallas cut a promo on Kofi Kingston, and he said, if you want to get up, if you want to stand up, the only thing you got to do is believe. And that really added depth to Bo Dallas's character. I mean, honestly, this guy, a lot of people are saying, oh, I fucking hate this guy. That's his whole idea. That's his gimmick. You're supposed to hate him. You're supposed to hate his grin. You're supposed to hate his childlike, cheesy grin and his thumbs up and stuff. You're supposed to hate this guy. That's his job. But I think this achieved a lot. It obviously achieved by making Kane, still building Kane as this monster heel who attacks anybody, but is still controlled by the Authority. But they still managed to squeeze in a Bo Dallas promo there and building him up on the big scene of a pay-per-view, which is always, of course, a very, very good idea. So it achieved a lot in a very short space of time, so not really a problem there. But I would have probably liked to have seen Kofi versus Bo Dallas. I mean, that would have been a good match. Sadly, we didn't get that, so maybe we'll get that on Raw. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would have liked to see that match. But I do think that this segment and angle did achieve a lot in a very short space of time, and it was a shame Kane wasn't in a match on this pay-per-view. I mean, I'd completely forgot about Kane these last few weeks, so I was hugely surprised, and it was a bit of a shock when he did actually come out. But it's a shame he wasn't actually on the pay-per-view. I mean, he could have been booked in a match, and I would have been really, really happy about that, but he wasn't. And maybe they felt the need to put him on the pay-per-view to keep him relevant. So they made him attack Kofi Kingston. I mean, that's probably what they did. They planted the seeds by making Kofi Kingston tweet it out, and then just had Kane attack him to keep that storyline going of Kane being controlled by the Authority. Achieved a lot in a short space of time, so I'll give it a nice little 8 out of 10. Would have liked to see Kofi versus Bo Dallas, however. But, I mean, Bo Dallas losing in his first pay-per-view match due to disqualification would have been cool for Bo Dallas to get the win, but maybe it would have been a little bit too predictable considering we already saw Rusev get the win, which was very, very predictable. And later in the night, Bad News Barrett winning against Rob Van Dam in a pretty much a squash match. I mean, we maybe would have had a bit too many squash matches on one pay-per-view, and it would have been a little bit too predictable. Maybe that's why they did that, by not actually having a win, but giving Bo Dallas a loss on his first pay-per-view match. I know it's not a clean loss, but it's still a loss for Bo Dallas. Come on, the guy's great, and he will be a future star. But come on, guys, if you hate him, that's his job. He's a heel. Come on, don't hate on the guy because you hate him. I mean, that's pretty much his idea. Do you not understand heel and faces? Anyway, after that match, we have Bad News Barrett against Rob Van Dam. Now, I liked how Bad News Barrett had the England football badge on the back of his pants to keep him with the relevance of the World Cup. That was cool. But this match was always going to be a squash match. I mean, ever since they brought Rob Van Dam back, he always loses the big matches. And they're always going to do that with Chris Jericho, Rob Van Dam. Any big star that they bring back is always going to lose on the big stage. They were never having Rob Van Dam winning the title here against Bad News Barrett, especially due to the fact they only recently won it himself. And also, Bad News Barrett is a much younger guy. He's got a new gimmick. A lot of people are very much behind the gimmick. And this match really wasn't built that well either. Rob Van Dam lost on Monday Night Raw this week. So going into this match, it was very, very predictable. And I really wasn't expecting a lot better from this match. I mean, I was really yawning through this match. There was no real bite to it. There was no real excitement or pizzazz to it. There really wasn't anything to it. It just really felt like a normal televised match. It really didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, and maybe that was because it really didn't feel like a pay-per-view feud. I mean, what? They didn't really build towards it that well, did they? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was built okay. I mean, the fact that it was so predictable, maybe not really interested in it in the first place. I mean, whenever you put Rob Van Dam in a pay-per-view match, it's just gonna go to the other guy. I mean, can you really get into another Rob Van Dam match? And I was like, well, if it's predictable, they have to put on a good match, but they really didn't deliver here. It's a shame, but they didn't deliver a good match. Now, how it ended was Bad News Barrett went for the bull hammer and he hit the ring post. They've done that spot a few times with Wade Barrett before, so nothing really that special there. But then Rob Van Dam went for the 5-star frog splash. Bad News Barrett moved out the way. What would have been a cool spot is when Rob Van Dam went for the frog splash, Bad News Barrett would have hit the bull hammer, but no, they didn't do that. Bad News Barrett rolled out the way, pulled up his sleeve for no reason. I mean, why does he even do that? It doesn't do anything. I mean, why does he roll up his sleeve and turn it inside out? It doesn't do anything. Don't do that, Bad News Barrett. But anyway, he hit with the bull hammer and picked up the win. A very predictable match here, and it really didn't deliver on the big stage whatsoever. Probably the biggest disappointment of the night. Mufter, I know you're a big Bad News Barrett fan, but honestly, not a great match from Wade Barrett here. I wasn't a huge fan whatsoever. They really just didn't connect well. And maybe that's just how it goes sometimes. Some guys just don't have as good chemistry as they think they will. I thought maybe due to the fact that Bad News Barrett and Rob Van Dam conflict in styles a lot, that, well, it would have made for an entertaining match where both guys would have got some good offense. And, I mean, Cesaro and Sheamus are very, very similar, and they put on a good match. But Rob Van Dam and Wade Barrett are completely different, and they didn't put on a good match. So maybe that tells you something there, but it just didn't deliver on the big stage. So I'll give it I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It was a huge disappointment. That was one of the matches I was looking forward to at the start of the night, but it really, really was not that good whatsoever. Too predictable. Just don't put Rob Van Dam in these matches where they're too predictable. We like something that's unpredictable. We liked Brock Lesnar defeating the Streak. Well, I did, because it was unpredictable. Too many predictable matches in WWE nowadays. And the match just didn't deliver. I mean, it would have been okay if it was an entertaining match. If it was predictable and it was entertaining, I would have forgotten about it. But it was just bad. It was bad news, because it was just bad. There was nothing to it whatsoever. So I'll give that a 5 out of 10. So the next segment was Daniel Bryan refuses to give up the WWE World Heavyweight title and Brie Bella quits the WWE. Stephanie McMahon came out to so much crazy boos. I've said it before, she's a fantastic heel. She really is. She plays her part absolutely amazingly. She's just a fantastic heel. She honestly is, behind Bray Wyatt, maybe the best heel in the company they have right now, and she's not even a superstar, which that really says a lot, doesn't it? The Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella came out with some great yes chants. Honestly, in my opinion, I'm not really into Daniel Bryan half as much as I was 2 months ago, but Chicago seemed to love this guy, and he got some crazy yes reactions. But a lot of people pay, I've said it before, pay for a pay-per-view to watch the wrestling, so I was surprised they did put this on the pay-per-view at Payback, especially considering they're a very big wrestling city. And they're a very big wrestling crowd. They support guys like Ziggler. He wasn't on the show tonight. They support guys like Rob Van Dam, Reigns, Ambrose, Rollins, guys which have worked their guts to get to the WWE. They support guys like that, and they like their wrestling. So a promo or a segment, I wasn't too keen they'd like this, but they really did like this, and I thought it was a very good segment. One of the only good things about the whole show, in my opinion. Basically, Brie Bella says she quits, and just before she said that was, Daniel Bryan says, Stephanie, you're just an, natistic, and then he gives the mic to Brie Bella, and she says, bitch! And the crowd pops like crazy. She slaps Stephanie McMahon. She quits the WWE. She stands in the ring, does some yes chants, and she walks out. And what they're doing here is, it looks like they're doing a slow burn with the Daniel Bryan situation. They want to span it over a couple of weeks before Daniel Bryan comes back to in-ring action. So having Brie Bella quit the WWE leaves it open to what's going to happen on Raw. Will Daniel Bryan still be allowed to keep the titles? We don't know. I guess we'll have to tune in on Monday Night Raw, which gets more people in to watch it. But it lets them carry it out a few more weeks. I'm guessing that won't be the last time we see Brie Bella in this feud with Daniel Bryan. And it'll also maybe allow them to kind of, I mean, if they'd given up the titles tonight, I mean, what could they have done with Bryan for like a month whilst he's recovering from his neck surgery? If they keep the storyline going, they can keep him relevant and keep his momentum up and keep him busy. By the time he's ready and he's ready to wrestle again, people will still be interested in Daniel Bryan. If he gave up the titles tonight, well, what would Bryan do whilst he's recovering for a month? Nothing. So this keeps the storyline going with Brie Bella quitting. We're going to find out on tonight's Monday Night Raw what happens with Bryan as well. And don't be surprised if they don't keep this going for at least a month up until Money in the Bank. But with Brie Bella quitting, I don't know what the future for her is. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with her, but I mean, at least Daniel Bryan still got the titles. I think if Stephanie McMahon took them off him, it really would have felt like WrestleMania was a complete waste of time. And all the effort we put behind Bryan would have been a really, really huge disappointment if they just took the titles off him like that. But maybe that would have been a good idea to get some real big heat for Stephanie McMahon by taking them titles off Daniel Bryan. But it will keep the storyline going. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this in the next upcoming weeks. But in my opinion, did you really see Brie Bella quitting tonight on Payback? Big shock there, I think. But I think maybe they may have played it out a little bit too much. I mean, oh my God, Brie Bella's quit. I mean, what's she done for the last few months except do terrible acting? But the one thing I didn't expect to happen on this week's Payback, this pay-per-view, was Brie Bella to quit the WWE. So that was a bit of a shock. But it was a very good segment, and the Chicago crowd loved it, and they really, really got behind this segment, and it didn't fall flat on its face. I thought maybe, just maybe, that since it was a segment, it wouldn't get a great reaction, but honestly, it did very, very well. So I'll give that segment a 8 out of 10. The next match was John Cena defeating fucking Bray Wyatt. Wow, they give Cena the win. He came out to huge boos. Everybody booed him. They booed him the whole way through the match. John Cena sucks. Yes, they did all that. But after all that, after an emphatic, amazing match, they still gave Cena the win. So, the Usos came out to support John Cena during this match. And I thought, yes, they're going to do that so that they can give the clean win to Bray Wyatt. It's going to stop the Wyatt family members getting involved in the match, and it's going to be a good opportunity for them to give Bray Wyatt the clean win. Because I thought they were going to use the Usos to take out the Wyatt family so Bray Wyatt and John Cena could have a singles one-on-one match without the Luke Harper and Eric Rowan during this match. But it really did not end that way. I mean, this match was fucking awesome. This match was fantastic. I mean, so many spots during this match, it's going to be hard to recall. Bray Wyatt danced with John Cena in the ring. John Cena got put through a table by an unorthodox move by Bray Wyatt. It was kind of like a suplex-ish power slam. John Cena took steel steps at Bray Wyatt on the ramp. We saw his sister Abigail into the barricade. We saw Bray Wyatt and John Cena going to steel steps. We saw Luke Harper superplex one of the Usos into 2 tables on the floor. We saw a fallaway slam by Eric Rowan into a table on its side. We saw Bray Wyatt run at John Cena and put him through a barricade. I mean, fucking hell, this match was freaking insane. This match was fantastic. I mean, I know a lot of people really weren't interested in this match because the feud was dead after Extreme Rules. It was a poor match at Extreme Rules. It really wasn't extreme. It was a cage match. A lot of people don't really like cage matches. And I thought the feud was just after that. I mean, what really could they have done? But somehow, some way, they'd managed to drag it to Payback, which honestly, I don't think was particularly a good idea because the promos always just seem to be the same. There was nothing really new in this feud, but I am actually glad they managed to keep it going all the way up until Payback because this match fucking delivered. This match was match of the night by far. This match was so good. I'm glad they kept this feud going so that we could see this match. I mean, the promos, the segments were very poor, especially after Extreme Rules, but I'm so glad they kept it going because this match was fabulous. It was so good. I just ran through, well, the best spots, but you're going to have to rewatch this match again because that was the best Last Man Standing match I've ever watched because that was so good. Now, I'm not usually a fan of Last Man Standing matches because, well, they're usually quite slow paced. You rely on very, big top moves to finish matches off. But I just thought they hit the nail on the fucking head with this match. It was just good from start to finish. There was no dead moment during this match. I was just engaged the whole way through. My eyes was fixed on the match from start to finish. What a fucking fabulous match. Wow. But, yet again, they give John Cena the rub in this match. They give him the win. And I was just I flipped out at that. Because They just ruined a fantastic match. I've just poured out my emotion for that match, my love for that match. But the one thing they had to do was give John Cena the win, which just leaves a huge bad taste in my mouth. It really does leave a bad taste in my mouth from an extremely good match. I mean, you've just completely lost all the momentum Bray Wyatt had. I mean, they literally buried Bray Wyatt in this match. I mean, he put him underneath a box for the 10 count. Yes, John Cena had to put a box on top of Bray Wyatt to beat him, which does make Bray Wyatt look sort of good, but Bray Wyatt needed the win in this match. How many more years does John Cena left in him? How many more titles does John Cena have left in him? Not a lot whatsoever. Why bother giving this guy the win? He's really not got a lot left in him. And a lot of people are really bored of John Cena. I mean, what's the point of giving them the win? What are you going to do with this guy? I mean, what's left to do with this guy? Why waste a win with John Cena when Bray Wyatt needed a hell of a lot more? He needed the win over John Cena because it would have proven after this feud he'd beaten Cena once and for all, because this match really was the decider in the whole feud. And you've wasted 3 months of Bray Wyatt's career putting him up against John Cena for him to lose at Payback. And they literally buried him. I'm so fucking pissed because Bray Wyatt is the best character they might have brought up since Undertaker. And yeah, he loses to John Cena. And yes, a fabulous match. What a way to end the feud. And it shows that Bray Wyatt really can deliver on the biggest stage. Yet, they have to leave a bad taste in my mouth. And a bad taste for the feud overall. Because they gave John Cena the win. What are they going to do with this win for John Cena? Nothing. It really doesn't mean anything for John Cena whatsoever. I mean, what's he going to do with this win, which he hasn't done with any other win in his career? I mean, it's just another win from his, what, 20,000th matches? I mean, really, it's just another win to add to his list, which really doesn't mean anything whatsoever. And I honestly I feel like this was make or break for Bray Wyatt, and they really haven't gone with it. I knew it was a lot to ask for Shield and Bray Wyatt to both win on the pay-per-view, and I'm glad they gave the Shield the win in extreme fashion at the end of the show. I thought it was a big ask for them to do it, for both of them to win, and it was. They didn't give both of the young guys the win. I know the Shield got a clean sweep in the main event by beating the Shield 3-0, by pinning all 3 guys, but maybe they could have given the win to Bray Wyatt as well. Maybe. I mean, I do realise that they couldn't have given all the win to the young guys, or you're going to be losing a lot of top guys. I mean, could you imagine having Cena lose and Evolution lose on the same pay-per-view? Maybe they thought that was a bit risky to give too many main eventers the loss on one pay-per-view. But Bray Wyatt, hell, he needed that momentum. He needed that win. He could have done so much. I mean, what could he have done with the win over John Cena? I can't even imagine, but I'm going to have to imagine it because it didn't happen, and it's a huge freaking shame that that match honestly deserved a 9 out of 10 because it was freaking insane. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to watch that again because it was fan-freaking-tastic. Well done. It deserves a round of applause from Bray Wyatt and John Cena. Yes, a lot of people say John Cena can't wrestle, but watch that match. Of course he can wrestle. But Bray Wyatt deserved that win here. He definitely did. So, that's a huge disappointment, but a 9 out of 10 for John Cena and Bray Wyatt. And I really want to see what they're going to have to do with Bray Wyatt to make him come back from this. I do know that a lot of Money in the Bank Pass winners have gone on to lose a lot of their matches beforehand. So, maybe, just maybe, he wins that Money in the Bank match. Is that a long shot? Is it? Is it a long shot? I don't know. But usually, the Money in the Bank winner goes on a losing streak just before the pay-per-view, and is that a hint that they might give it to Bray Wyatt? Nah, it's a bit of a big ask, isn't it? But come on, Bray Wyatt needed the win here, and they didn't give it him, so that's a huge, really annoying point in the pay-per-view, and really, from then on, it just dipped a whole lot after that John Cena win. I mean, the crowd were pissed, I was pissed, I was dissatisfied. I mean, the match was good, but I just remember the result now. The actual entertainment of the match is irrelevant because John Cena won. Ugh. So the pay-per-view did dip a little bit after that because Paige defeated Alicia Fox. Now they give Alicia Fox the win in London against Paige. They make Alicia Fox win in London against Paige she didn't even hit a finisher in London, and she beat Paige. So they really put their money behind Alicia Fox, and they really dug deep and found a new gimmick for Alicia Fox. And honestly, a lot more eyes were on Alicia Fox than Paige during this match. Alicia Fox got a better reaction when she came out than Paige, but they still gave the win to Paige. And ever since Paige won the Raw after WrestleMania, I slowly started to realise I'm not into Paige as much as I thought I would be when she did actually debut in WWE. Because I think a lot of people were really excited to see Paige come up to the Divas division in WWE, but they never thought she was winning the Divas Championship in her first match. And a lot of people were dreaming that one day she'd win that Divas Championship, but having her win in the first match of her career in the WWE, I mean, she's already done it all. She's got nothing to aim for. So everything beyond that would have just been less significant. And that's really the whole shame about giving Paige that title so early on in her career. Anything she does from now isn't going to be as significant as that win against AJ Lee, who would pretty much carry the Divas division. And I think they'd slowly realised they really have no competition for a Paige after AJ Lee had left. I mean, who was a correct challenger for Paige after AJ Lee had left? They gave Tamina a match, and she really was not a contender whatsoever. So they built Alicia Fox over these past couple of weeks, and I thought, give the belt to Alicia Fox. A lot more people are interested in her than Paige, because she's shown a lot more of her character than Paige, and a lot more people are excited about Alicia Fox. She's got a much more entertaining gimmick. And a lot more eyes were on Alicia Fox, just admit it. And I thought if they gave the win to Alicia Fox, it really opens the door for other divas to step up, get gimmicks, and challenge for that Divas belt and show that, well, it's open and anybody can step up to the plate. And also, Alicia Fox, really the Divas division had only been about Alicia Fox for the last 3 weeks. They'd built up her so well, and it was all wasted because she lost on the pay-per-view in the end. I mean, Alicia Fox is just going to slump right back down to the bottom of the pile now. They've wasted, what, 3 weeks? They've wasted a win in London for Paige and not even a finisher. She didn't even get hit by a finisher in London, and she still lost. They built up Alicia Fox so well. They gave her these segments where she went crazy. She's been on the JBL and Cole show. They built her up so well in the last few weeks, but she lost. She lost in the end. And it was all a huge waste of time. You've wasted our time. And I thought it was the time to give it to Alicia Fox. I mean, if Alicia Fox won, then it'd build an exciting feud where Paige would have to chase the championship. But now Alicia Fox has been defeated. They've got this problem again. They're going to have to build up another rightful contender for that Divas Championship in such a small amount of time. And I don't think they can do it for the next pay-per-view. If they'd given it to Alicia Fox on tonight's pay-per-view, then, well, Alicia, you've got a feud there. You've got a feud to build on. And you've also got a new champion. Some excitement into the Divas division. But no, they didn't do that. And Paige retains in a boring match. I mean, that was the boringest match I've seen this year in 2014. And it wasn't the boringest Divas match I've seen this year. It was the boringest match I've seen this year. There really wasn't anything whatsoever. She hit the Scorpion crosslock on Alicia Fox. I was like, no, surely you're not going to end it that early. And surely you're not going to end it after Paige has hardly got any moves in the match. But yeah, they ended it. It really was not a good match whatsoever. And they spent all this time building up Alicia Fox just for that huge disappointing match. I couldn't honestly Adam and Eve after they'd done that. I mean, wow, I really was behind Alicia Fox. I was game for her winning the Divas title. I thought it was her time. I mean, she sat there for, what, 2 years without really doing anything whatsoever. They finally give her a chance, and she's slumping right back down to the pile, and there's no contender for the next pay-per-view. What are they going to do? I don't know. They really need to get AJ Lee back in the WWE because, wow, it's looking as bad as ever, the Divas division. And that match just proves it because that was freaking an awful match. I mean, honestly, what does people see in Paige at the moment? She really did not deliver at all on this pay-per-view or the pay-per-view before her Extreme Rules. Yet she's still running around as your Divas champion. Wow, wow, wow. But that was the worst match of the night, the worst result of the night, and the biggest waste of time of the night. Wow, double waste, as Grim would say. I'll give that a 4 out of 10. So the main event, and well, not really the main event, because that was only the main event, because there really wasn't any WWE World Heavyweight Championship match or feud heading into this pay-per-view due to the Daniel Bryan circumstance. So at the last minute, they had to rush this into being the main event. But on the Monday Night Raw, when the Shield were pretty much taken out by Evolution and Evolution stood tall, I knew from then that Evolution were losing the match on Sunday, because whenever somebody or a team ends up winning or standing tall on the last Monday Night Raw, they always seem to lose on the pay-per-view, and the same thing happened here. I just thought it was the second match between Evolution and Shield. The younger guys needed to get the win here. Dave Bautista is going away to promote and do the media for Guardians of the Galaxy's new movie. There's nothing really left for Evolution once Bautista's left to go do his media. They're not going to have Evolution stick around without Bautista being there. So giving Evolution the win here really wouldn't be doing anything, because they wouldn't be able to use the win, because Evolution's pretty much probably going to break up on Raw this week because Bautista's going away. So a win would just be wasted giving it to Evolution. They really won't be able to build on anything with a win. So I was without any doubt Shield winning here, and I was absolutely right. And I was absolutely right in saying that this was going to be, well, I thought it was going to be match in the night. It had to be match in the night to save the pay-per-view. And at this point, I think the pay-per-view was, it wasn't recoverable. I thought it was already pretty lame at that point, and any match that they put on here really wasn't going to save the pay-per-view, and it didn't. It was a very, very good match, but it was never going to save the pay-per-view from being lackluster. It was the second best match of the night. The Cena and Bray Wyatt match was slightly better, but I honestly think there was a clear difference between them two matches and any other match on the card, and I really, really mean that. I mean, John Cena and Bray Wyatt and the Shield and Evolution, they were miles better than any other match on this card by far. I mean, they both stole the show. I mean, honestly, there was such a big difference between them two matches and them two feuds compared to the whole of the rest of the card. And the difference was immense. And if we'd had a card full of matches as good as the Evolution versus Shield match and John Cena versus Bray Wyatt match, we would have had pay-per-view of the decade. Because there was such a big difference between Evolution and Shield and everything else on this show. And it was a huge shame that this match and Bray Wyatt and John Cena was surrounded by such a poor card and such a poor show. I mean, them two matches were so good, they kind of get overshadowed by such a poor show. And this match was freaking insane, because who thought Shield were going 3-0? Who thought the Shield were going to get 3 pinfalls on Evolution? And it wasn't just Roman Reigns getting them 3 pinfalls. Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns all got pinfalls in this match. So all members of the Shield are put over in this match. The young guys get the rub, they get the win, they get the momentum over Evolution. And what a fantastic match it was. Dean Ambrose jumped on the announce table and took out Evolution. You saw an Evolution powerbomb on Reigns through the announce table. You saw chairs used. You saw a 3-on-1 attack on Reigns. You saw a stage dive yet again from Seth Rollins. He jumped off the Tron onto all 3 members of Evolution. You saw a headlock driver or a Dirty Deeds finisher by Dean Ambrose on a chair on Randy Orton. You saw a spear by Reigns, then Rollins picking up the win. And then you saw the sledgehammer coming out by Triple H. Seth Rollins hitting the kick on Triple H, Reigns hitting the spear, and Reigns picking up the win. He was the guy that finished off the match and getting the biggest momentum in this match, because he was the one that pretty much ended the match. He got the last pinfall, and he looked the better out of all 3 members of the Shield. But all in all, that was huge momentum for the Shield, of course, to get all 3 wins over Evolution. Who thought that Evolution were going to have 3 members standing tall after the end of that match? I thought maybe Triple H was the one that was going to last the whole entirety of the match. But no, they won every single member of the Shield. And that's 2-0 for Shield over Evolution. How over are the Shield now? Such a big win for them, and what a great way to end the pay-per-view. Man, the second 9 out of 10 match in my opinion for the show. A fantastic match from start to finish. A very, very good match. There was RKOs. There wasn't a Batista bomb, was there? There wasn't a pedigree either. There was spine busters. There was even a spear from midair by Batista, and then, oh my god, the Batista spear was terrible, and then Batista stood up and got speared the fuck out by Reigns. I mean, the spear by Reigns was so much better by Batista, but what a freaking match. I knew their Extreme Rules match was good. I'm not sure if they topped it here. I think it might have been on par with their Extreme Rules match. I mean, I've said it before, I said it even in this video. I don't like it when they do rematches because they never rarely are as good as the first match. But this really came close and might have been better. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just on par. It certainly wasn't worse. It was a fantastic match from start to finish. And I'm so glad Shield got the win. I mean, they're going to do so well in the WWE. And it just proves, I mean, Triple H, who'd have thought would have booked himself to lose 3 pay-per-views in a row. He lost at Mania, he lost at Extreme Rules, and he's now lost at Payback. And he's put over talent all in the way. They say this guy buries people? Really? He's put over the Shield in the last 2 pay-per-views, and he put over Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And they say this guy buries people. Shut up, people. He just put over the Shield. And so did Batista, and so did Randy Orton. And by the way, what was Batista wearing? Blue Tista. His attire looked horrific tonight. What the hell was he thinking? But anyway, the Shield are over. They get the win. John Cena and Bray Wyatt and the Shield and Evolution steal the show with 2 fantastic, amazing matches. And honestly, they were far above the rest of this card. And it's a shame they were on a show with matches like Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus Ryback and Curtis Axel. They were on a show with Rusev and Big E. They were on a show with Bo Dallas and Kofi Kingston, which didn't even happen. They were on a show with Bad News Barrett and Rob Van Dam, which really didn't deliver. They were on a show with Paige and Alicia Fox. I mean, they were so much better than any other match on this show, and it's a shame they're going to get overshadowed by a much poor show. I'm going to give overall the show, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I mean, honestly, them 2 9 out of 10 matches slightly saved the show, but I do think it wasn't recoverable, especially by the time we got round to the main event. It was already a bad show, and nothing was going to save the pay-per-view by the time we got to that main event. But who'd have thought the Shield were getting 3-0 by the end of this night? I did not think that. The Shield standing tall with 3 men at the end of the show. Fantastic for the Shield. So disappointed for Bray Wyatt, but at least he delivered a very, very good and memorable match, which we're going to remember for years. It was crazy. Oh, it was good. But honestly, Payback, the second year, I thought Payback last year was probably like second best pay-per-view of the year. Last year, Payback. This year, probably the worst pay-per-view we've seen this year. Maybe on par with Royal Rumble. I honestly think Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, Extreme Rules, we really were having a great run of pay-per-views. And this Payback, bit of a disappointment, which is a huge shame. Shield and Evolution, Bray Wyatt and Cena, you stole the show, but rest of the card, disappointment. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Can we get 200 likes? Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spike your hair.